In the tapestry of life, where every thread holds a story, America in black and white emerges as a haven for the voices echoing through the heart of our communities. In this podcast, we wade through the rivers of our collective experiences, celebrating the vibrant hues of change brought forth by the whispers of hope and the roars of action. It's more than just a conversation. It's a journey into the heart of our society, illuminated by the light of those daring to dream and do. Join us, and let your voice be the melody that guides us toward a dawn where every color finds its place in the masterpiece of our shared destiny. Together, let's paint a future brimming with the positives that dwell in our minds and the actions that shape our world.
Good evening, family, and welcome. And welcome to the very first edition of Final Word Friday. Tonight marks the beginning of something new, something intentional, something rooted in truth, accountability, and the kind of conversations that sharpen us, stretch us, and strengthen our communities. This isn't just another show. This is a platform built for clarity, built for elevation, and built for us. And for this inaugural episode, I'm honored to be joined by three powerful voices, each representing a pillar of our community cannot thrive without. David D. Marshall is an entrepreneur whose vision and resilience remind us that ownership is not just a goal, but a pathway to generational transformation. Jerry Jones is a financial planner who understands that wealth is not just about numbers, it's about discipline, strategy, and the courage to rewrite our financial narratives. And Dr. Negus Rudison Imhotep, a historian who carries the keys to our past, helping us understand where we've been so we can walk with purpose into where we're going. Tonight, we bring together enterprise, economics, and historical truth, three forces that shape the future of our people. So settle in, share this stream, and invite someone into the room, because this is the first of many Fridays where we speak boldly, thinking deeply, and close the week with intention. This is Final Word Friday, and we're just getting started. Let me bring you the guest into the show. We've got Mr. Jerry Jones.
How's it going, Charles?
All righty. We've got Mr. David D. Marshall.
Good evening.
And I guess Dr. Negus is a little bit running behind. So you guys, I want to welcome you guys for being here. And if you'd like, can you introduce yourselves to the audience before we get going into this first Final Word Friday?
Absolutely. Yeah, my name is Jerry Jones, and I'm a financial advisor, a financial planner. My passion is helping individuals, specifically business owners, build wealth, build a lifestyle and a life of freedom, as well as having happiness through that financial success. I've seen that a lot of people, they build the wealth, but they don't build the life, and they don't build the happiness and find that fulfillment. So that's me, and I'm a father of two boys, husband of one, and it's really good to be here.
David.
And I'm David Marshall. Not quite as extensive of a fantastic career as Jerry, but I do see that we have the same color choices.
I'm telling you.
We did that. But I, by profession, I'm an opera singer. I had a career in New York for some years on the opera stage, recital stage, all of those good things. I now sit as the founder and CEO of Journey to Josiah Incorporated, where we support LGBTQ couples navigating the adoption process. I've also I'm launching next Saturday a brand new venture, and that is the Purpose Room Life Coaching. I will start that next Saturday along with my book release, which is a journal entitled Getting to Happy. And I am a father of one, and that would be Josiah.
Well, look,
you got the actual talent. You can't say the disclaimer.
I want to welcome you guys. This Final Word Friday is definitely all about, these hot topics and, what people, just some things that I want to inform the community about, where we get the opportunity to just chop it up, and we get to just talk about the things that are happening. The first topic I want to throw out to you guys before, I know you guys are probably going to have your own suggestions, but I want to throw out this topic about what's happening with ICE and Minneapolis. What are you guys, what are your take on that? And do you see that there's a problem between federal and state government?
Man, it's bad. It's bad. I will say my overarching theme is one. I mean, man, what happened in Minnesota? That's just a tragedy. It really feels like Minneapolis is just having one, state. I want to say tragedy, but it's avoidable stuff. But every single year there's something happening. So, prayers for the loss of life. But I mean, I think it's 1000% a problem. And my biggest takeaway is none of this stuff is completely new. I believe the head of ICE is the same head of ICE who was over ICE during President Obama's tenure. I believe. I could be wrong on that. And I've never agreed with ICE. I don't agree with how we treat immigrants in this country for the most part. But I've never seen a president in my lifetime just bully people with arms of the government before. So it's terrible. I haven't been following it because that stuff riles me up, and I try to focus on what I can control, but it's bad. It's really bad.
I guess my take on it is one, the president is doing exactly what he said he was going to do, right? Now, he might lie on a daily basis. I mean, he and the truth have a terrible relationship. I'm sure they've been divorced for many years. But where he has been very, very forthright is on the policies. And as it pertains to immigration, because that's the overarching thing here, is his alleged attempt to reform immigration. He's been very clear that he does not. Immigrants of a certain hue are not in his wheelhouse. He famously called what was it, an African country, a shithole country. So he's very clear on what he wants. Now, when it comes to ICE and what is happening in Minneapolis, I'm a little dismayed. Well, a lot of dismayed, but in one regard, in that where is the local government? I do understand that ICE is under federal control, but what is happening locally there? I feel like I'm not getting enough. We hear from the mayor of Minneapolis, but what is happening with the governor? What is happening with other state officials? Why is there just not, to my liking, enough noise around what's happening? I mean, these agents are snatching people out of cars, breaking windshields, killing them. Um, Now they're going to go door to door. Um, and what I can't help but think about when we even hear about the door to door thing is the stories we've heard in terms of slavery, right? There were safe houses. Quakers served as safety for our ancestors, and there were slave catchers who were ever on the loose, right? Going door to door. And our ancestors were hidden under the floor and any other place as these people bogarted the Quakers' homes. So we're looking at a modern day form of slave catching, if you will. Um, so yeah, it's very, very scary. The other thing I would like to also add to it is I don't know why, but this is not my wheelhouse. But when we're talking about ICE kind of almost taking over Minneapolis, we can't expect for the local police to be able to manage that and the community, because really the police's job is to really manage the community. But I'm not sure as to why maybe the National Guard has not been dispatched.
Well, as you say that, I mean, one thing that's crazy about that is, this man is actually trying to bully those states that are not red states. And so what he's doing is, when you mentioned where is the government or the governor, the state government, basically he's already activated the National Guard from other places that's taking over the city of Minneapolis without their governors doing that. And so now that the people are pushing back, now he's talking about of enacting I forgot what the law is called, but
Martial law.
yeah, martial law.
Mhm.
Now he wants to enact martial law, which basically is a part of his creation of a whole bunch of things in order for him to just create all these fires to burn the whole world so that he never has to leave office, is what he's doing. But at any rate, yeah, that's what he's doing. That's actually taken over Minneapolis. But the thing about it is, the Supreme Court has allowed him to do that. And so and so now that the people of Minneapolis are pushing back against this, is why he's enacting the martial law. And so even in doing that, you cannot get a moral person on that right side of government to do the right thing, because they're also afraid of this man, because they were going to do a vote to actually take away this power of all this conflict that he's creating. But he actually calls them senators up and had them flip that vote, so so they couldn't take this away from him. And so that in itself, again, is causing a problem. But the problem is that when you saw how Chicago pushed back, Chicago was not going to allow him to do that. So now now he's trying to bully Minnesota, Minneapolis. He tried it in Los Angeles. They pushed back. So now that Minneapolis is trying to push back, now they're doing martial law. And so with there's martial law, especially if it's enacted all over the country, he doesn't have to leave office, because he knows he's going to be impeached after this election, if the election is allowed to take place.
If.
Yes, exactly. If.
Yeah, it's interesting. People just completely ignore the lack of principles, lack of honesty. You see issues don't matter, truth doesn't matter. I firmly believe that he's in office for one purpose, and that's to gain as much power as possible. Because even look at party platform, right? The right is supposed to be minimum government involvement and states' rights, right? This is the complete opposite. This is huge government, huge overstep by government, right? Regardless of how you feel about Venezuela, I'm not as in global politics, but regardless of what you think, how it was done is huge overstep without any Congress approval or anything. Huge overstep of government, which goes completely contrary to the platform. And I shouldn't say hate. I'm trying to work on myself in 2026, but in past tense, I hated Trump in his first election, right? I thought that he was running on a bunch of platforms that, judging his past life, I didn't think he believed in most of these issues, right? He's running from a right platform, a pro-life platform. But I'd be shocked if Trump wasn't behind any abortions, right? And now he is really big with the Christian nationalists. And this is coming from a Christian, right? He's really big with the Christian nationalists. Not a Christian nationalist. Let's not get that twisted. Christian. I follow Jesus. Not a Christian nationalist. But didn't want to get it twisted. Didn't want to get clipped or anything.
I know that's right. I know that's right.
This man doesn't embody any Christian principles. But it's a power grab. He saw a group of people that he could use as pawns, which are evangelicals, and he's using them as pawns, right? He sees even with the issue in Nigeria. Do y'all think Trump care about anybody in Nigeria? Do y'all truly, in your heart of hearts, think he cares about anybody in Nigeria?
No.
Absolutely not. But there are some of his base that care about it. So he don't care. That's more power for him. Any stability, he's going to take advantage of it. So the absolute hypocrisy, and I can say that confidently because I vote, I vote pretty much straight ticket most elections, especially national elections. And I've said plenty of times, I hate the Democratic Party. They get on my nerves. They do a bunch of stuff I don't like, right? So I can say that confidently that people just turn a blind eye to this guy, which it just makes no sense. I've not turned a blind eye to when the party does, less, right? And I love Obama as a president. I thought he was a phenomenal president, right? He's been doing some similar imperialistic stuff. It hasn't been as bombastic as Trump does. I believe Kamala will be a significantly better. Kamala Harris will be a significantly better president than Trump, right? But she still, is going to be doing imperialistic stuff, but we just haven't seen it so bombastically and with complete disregard for how it looks, what's the morals, and what's even my position yesterday.
Mm. Well, I'll tell you like this, regardless of, the party situation, because I'm not a Republican or a Democrat, I will tell you that. But I can tell you unequivocally that these last 8 to 12 years, I'm promising you all, as you listen to me on this air right now today, I don't give a damn who it is. I'm going straight up and down the ticket. I'm voting for a D. Anything else, I'm sorry, you got to go. Because if you don't have morals, and if people don't actually see that this is, there are people that look like you and I, that all of us, that look like us, that actually went out and they actually are standing like these idiots that are running around here talking about, oh, Trump, oh, MAGA Trump, MAGA, all this other stuff. And I'm not understanding what the hell that's supposed to mean. But at the same time, they're running around here doing that, and they're being just as affected by all this craziness as everybody else because they're not affected instantaneously. But as it's rolling up the pole, it's midway the pole now. And so that means half this country, probably half this world, is feeling the effects of this idiocy that's happening right now. And so with ICE running around here, these people running around with these little things on their faces, and I'm thinking like, how in the world can they possibly think that somebody's going to say, well, okay, you say you're ICE, and so I'm just going to let you in? I don't think so. Welcome, Dr. Negus.
Dr. Negus, how's it going?
Man, I've been old school is having some problems trying to get on this. I was hitting another link and I was listening, y'all, and I'm like, hey, let me in.
But yeah, so they run around here, they're doing that, and I don't respect any of that. Well, when I say I don't respect, I respect people's rights to do, they vote however they want to and they feel the way they feel. But they don't have the right to impose those things on me. That's what I'm talking about. So because you feel like you want to be an idiot, then you go be an idiot. Y'all go jump off the train together and y'all can all do what you do. I'm not jumping off. Okay, I'm still riding. So because I want to ride, then that means that I'm a problem. If I don't jump off the train because they want to jump off the train, then we got a problem. So you tell me, am I supposed to have rights? Am I not supposed to have rights? That's the way they feel.
Well, since I've been listening to you guys talk for a while, if you want to go back to the Dred Scott decision, 1857, that anyone of our ethnicity had any rights that any whites was bound to respect. That was Chief Justice Roger B. Taney in 1857. But I also heard something about slave patrol. And if we look at slave patrol, 1735, the Virginia Slave Act, that's when slave patrol was started. And that's when the police department was basically founded off of that particular act. So there was always never instance in this nation that blacks in this nation have full rights. full rights because it was never intended from the very beginning.
Yeah.
If you look at the preambles of the Constitution and all the writings that they write are sweet sounding words that means very little.
And being a fifth of a human, I mean, like, how in the hell do you constitute what's the fifth of a human being? Somebody
Well,
tell me what that means.
I was looking at something a couple of days ago and looking at in 1946, the year after World War II, the United States stopped teaching ethnology in high school because when you know ethnology, you know the meaning of words,
Mhm.
and this language is used to either curse or to heal.
Mhm.
So we must understand what we're saying when we're using this language,
Mhm.
and be mindful of what we're saying. Because even I know my brother said he's Judeo-Christian brother, and I know I had that upbringing as well in pastor churches, but it's a scripture that says death and life is in the power of the tongue.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so we must watch what we say and know what we're saying. And when we say it, mean what we say.
Mhm.
And that makes all the difference in the world because when we speak it, we are spirit beings that speak into this atmosphere, into the universe to make things happen. And we could either speak blessings or cursings.
You know, as we get into this political climate, and you know that it does so many things. I mean, when you think about it, now people gonna have, you know, like I said, people have the right to select and do how they feel, and I understand that. But I just want to ask you all, when you think about how you want to live your life and the things that you see fit for you, how many of you, by show of hands, can say that what has happened under a conservative regime has not only benefited you, but it's benefiting you forever and ever, and you're going to stay with that? How many of you are going to vote for that? Seriously, no.
Restate that statement.
How many of you are going to? How many of you believe, honestly believe, that with these folks running around here up in this administration and before under this conservative bull crap that they got, that these things that they're talking about, how many of you honestly believe that these are good policies and they benefit you?
I've said I am because none of them have.
You got to put your hand down.
None of them have.
I think that that is like, but see, but you know, but when we have people, and see, this is where I think we have to be careful, as you mentioned earlier, about people that look like us, because there are some people that, you know, believe it or not, they're not even in the top 1%. And so if you're not in the top 1%, there's nothing that's going to be beneficial for your ass at all. So you can't that off. If you're not up here, then you're not benefit. If you say because you earn $1 million, you're only middle class, and that's being cut off. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So how can you honestly say, because you think that, oh, it's not going to affect me, but it is. And now when it starts creeping up that pole, and then it starts knocking on your door, then what you say? Oh, now I'm black again.
See, Charles, I started just. Oh, go ahead, David.
I also though want to differentiate between what is actual conservatism though. I don't think that anything that is under that, I think we will call it that because it's the Republican Party, which is allegedly a conservative party. But these policies are not conservative. They are strictly racist policies. There is nothing about that that has anything to do with conservatism, at least to the extent that I understand what conservatism is actually supposed to be. So, and I've had this conversation for a while because I think that sometimes we're conflating the two. And now I don't stand here as a mouthpiece for that because, like yourself, and I think possibly all of us, I don't subscribe to either party at all. I am very much an independent. But when I think about what I'd always understood conservatism, actual conservatism to mean, that we're looking at, because think about the spending, for instance. They're supposed to be really, really allegedly fiscally responsible. But you have someone who has bankrupt casinos, because you got to do a whole lot of special things to have that happen. That is supposed to be a money farm.
Yeah.
So that can happen is astonishing. So when you look at even his level of spending and what he's spending, going back to ICE, their budget has now, I want to say close to tripled. It has now superseded the military budget.
Originally, it was pretty high, but he's actually reallocated their budget. Now they have zero.
Mm.
You have signing bonuses for these people of upwards of $50,000 to come and be modern day slave catchers, as I've called them.
Yes.
50,000. I might need to infiltrate from within. Sabotage.
It's so I just wanted to point that out again. Not that I'm a mouthpiece for conservatism. There are some things in actual conservatism that I do agree with, but this is not it. This just is not it at all. These are all racist policies, and that's not conservatism.
Well, I have to disagree because all these policies are racist from the very origin, regardless of you're right wing or left wing. I remember my father telling me when I was a teenager, he said, son, don't get twisted up behind these political parties because you have a left wing and a right wing. And he said, they're on the same bird, boy. You got to understand that they're working together to make this thing happen the way it's happening. Because whites, if we don't in the words of Nellie Fuller Jr., if you don't understand white supremacy, racism, and how it functions, everything else that you know will only confuse you.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is nothing new about the Trump administration. I've been living this since 1960.
Mm-hmm.
It's been the same. You might have a few liberties now. I remember when we couldn't drink water from water fountains. I remember when I couldn't go in the restrooms. I remember all of that type of stuff. And now it's the same thing. It's just another day. Just put some makeup on it.
Oh, okay. Put the lipstick on the pig.
Come on now.
Still a pig.
I think neither party is cares about our best interests. I will say though, as far as what is going to do more direct harm, I just think that the Republican Party has been. I'll put it like this: the Democrat Party at least pretends to care, right? They at least pretend to care about Black people. They'll at least throw us. They won't cut they'll care about our EBT or know that they have to satisfy us in order to keep that 90% Black vote. And even going back to what you were saying, Charles, with how they'll have these Black folks running around with the MAGA hats and shilling for a administration that's done nothing for them, doesn't care about them. I will say, man, we voted as Black people. We voted 90% Democrat for pretty much since the party switched. And then that's for a reason, right? I think it doesn't take much knowledge. You don't have to be super deep into politics to understand that these Republican policies are affecting us more. They're harming us more. So even I think they'll put these Black people on Foxes. That's just a little token. That's their little mascots. These people are distraction. I just ignored them because they had all this talk about how the Black vote was going to flip in this last election, this last presidential election, and it didn't. Now Black people turned out less to this election than the previous election, but it was still pretty much the same percentages that it's always been, and it's going to be that way for the foreseeable future. Because I just do think that one side is doing more harm to Black people and people who are not in that upper class than the other. Even though I don't think either party really cares about it.
I agree with you 500% on that. And I mean, I'll just say it to you like this. I mean, like I said, and I'm open when I told y'all I really mean this. This midterm election, I don't care if it just says D, I'm voting for it.
Hey, insurance inspector.
I'm voting for it, and I'm telling you, I'm doing what they do in mainstream media. I am putting out each and every story on my blog post every time that you catch these conservatives with this nastiness that they're doing and all this fraud. They're talking about fraud, waste, and abuse when they cut off SNAP to actually have that government shutdown, where when you look at what this administration has done, these people are robbing the government blind right in front of your face, and nobody's doing anything about it. The deficit was coming down. Trump has sent the deficit up to like $10 trillion now. $10 trillion. And then talk about, oh, we worried about our children under the Biden administration and spending, when Trump has both times, not only has he got that with that fraud and that lie about being a president, because he ain't a president. I don't know what the hell he is. He's just an occupier, and I call him that all the time, because he ain't no president. But when you get up there and he has actually, these people know he's stealing money. How in the hell are you able to reallocate money that's already allocated to take care of the government, and he's moving it and keeping it in their pocket? These contractors that are coming into the government, don't nobody know who these people are. The folk that are tearing down that part of the White House to build that ballroom, they all of a sudden try to back out the contract because they don't want people to know who they are. Now, you see, when people are used to stealing, cheating, and robbing, we're seeing the perfect example of that right now, and people are afraid to call it out. They're afraid to call it out. But, then, when you do call it out, then it's like, oh, you're not patriotic, you're being racist, and you didn't say this about this person, you didn't try to hold these people accountable. You don't have to, because they weren't trying to steal money from the government like this. But they're doing it. They've done this. And as they continue to print this money, believe me, if they don't get this man out on this midterm election, all of us at this skin tone, we can kiss it goodbye. We can kiss it goodbye. That's my opinion. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it.
And I approve this message. Man, listen, I don't mean to jump in, but listen to this. In 1923, Marcus Messiah Garvey, who was a true philosopher, who had an idea to segregate and move to Africa. He wrote a poem called The Tragedy of White Injustice. And he wrote it in 1923. Could I read two stanzas to that poem, please, sir?
Yes.
Well, thank you. Here we go. I'm going to do stanza 1 and 2. Here we go. Lying and stealing is the white man's game. For rights of God, nor man he has no shame. A practice of his throughout the whole world. At all great thunderbolts he has hurled. He has stolen everywhere land and steed. A buccaneer, a pirate he must be, killing all as he roved from place to place, leaving disease, mongrels, and moral disgrace. The world of him is replete, for from his javelin boat to his new built fleet. Oh man, excuse me, this thing moving around. Let me redo that second one. It says, the world History of him is replete. From his javelin boats to his new fleets, hosts he has robbed and crushed below. For friend and neighbor he has made a foe. From our men and women he had made the slaves. Then boast he has become a brave. Cowardly he steals on his trusted prey, killing in the dark, then shouting, hooray. That was Marcus Garvey, 1923, in a poem that it has about 35 stanzas. And we got ancestors that left a lot of messages behind for us, and some of us who especially been educated in this colonial system are quite frequent to regurgitate Western ideas because that's what we were taught. But I tend to look back towards the Afrocentric idea and going closer back to my roots and learning from our past. And that's why I'm thankful for the opportunity to be on this call and to interject in this conversation.
Dr. Negus, what's your takeaway from that poem?
That poem told me that white supremacy racism is not new, and that the European culture is I'm going to take it from the way Dr. Frances Cress Welsing put it, from the Cress theory on color confrontation. Her paradigm was that whites are genetically and numerically deficient. So because of their deficiency, they know that because of the things that we got hanging between our legs, our testicles and penis, could genetically annihilate them. Because at one time, if you know anything about genetics, dark is dominant and light is recessive. So anytime you put that black seed,
it dominates.
Black seed is something you're gonna see a little nappy head baby coming somewhere. You're gonna see them lips and that nose somewhere. You know, you're gonna see that lips and that nose, bro, because of that seed, and that's our ancestors are hanging between our legs, and our ancestors. That's why we got to be serious about who we putting our seed in.
See, so I'm gonna have to just jump out here. This is where my values differ. You know, I'm not super researched in the not archaeology, anthropology. I'm gonna mess that one up. Anthropology and all of those, but where my worldview differs is I don't have a problem with white at all. I love my white brothers and sisters. I have a problem with racism. I have a problem with white supremacy. I think that that there is a world where, you know, maybe not in our lifetime, maybe not in our kids' lifetime. I think there's a world where we can stop letting we can both races can come together and say at some point that that racism is wrong, that white supremacy is wrong, that Eurocentrism is wrong. But I've just seen too much of people being people from both sides. I've seen, and I think it's also a power thing. I think that right now globally whites are in power, but I can't jump out on a limb and say that, you know, if yellow was in power, that yellow wouldn't behave in the way that Europeans have behaved in the last 10 years or what, insert race here. So, you know, white's not my enemy. Racism is my enemy, right? White supremacy is my enemy. That's just where I stand. And I really appreciate Garvey for, you know, his willingness to be radical, his willingness to make a change and put his life on the line for that change. But I just differed with a lot of the more militant people in our history, even despite the good that they've done. And part of that's coming from that's just my Christian worldview. I
Well,
think we're all made in God image, regardless if we're black, white, red, whatever. And I believe you're not a Christian, but I believe we were all made in God's image. And look, and I agree, whether that if you put some black in there, that nap gonna come out, that 4C hair gonna come out, right? You gonna see it somewhere. But I also fine by me.
I say this, when I listen to that poem, what it reminded me of is when my understanding from my African American Studies course I took, and when we talked about the Silk Roads, and that's when Europe did its deception against Africa when they made this alliance that they have today, that actually changed the currency, stole the gold anyway, and made everything under this system that we're actually under right now at this point. So it's repressive, and it's going to always be oppressive unless we decide we need to come from under this system and create our own. My thing is, when I listen to what Garvey said in those first two stanzas, is that it says to us, it's only about us if we want to make it that. If we want to go out and we want to make this change, and we want to get things back to where they were supposed to be, then we will do that by uniting. If we don't unite, then we can't expect, which is the definition of insanity, we can't expect these people to be in anything that we're doing and then expect a change, because that's not going to happen. That's realistic. That's just being real. Now, it may sound like it's radical, but it's not radical. It's the truth. The truth hurts a lot of people, because if you're going to tell me that I'm doing the same thing that Jim Bob is doing, my production is much better, but Jim Bob gets all the credit. Now, if I want to go and I need to get some a little bit more proceeds to build mine, I can't get it, but he can. But it's justified. So what that's saying is, yes, it's racist premises, but it's also saying that if we're going to do what we need to do, if we don't unite, then that's never going to happen. That's never going to happen. And so I can care less about what other folk are doing. I like to focus on where I'm focusing on. And when I say I'm focusing on, if it's about building my communities, our communities, that don't make me racist. That don't make me an exclusionist. That makes me imperiled and loving of my people, because they can love their people and still get credits and justifications for doing wrong. We can't. So if we're going to change that, then we need to start standing up and doing that. There's nothing wrong with that. And there's nothing wrong with how if we did what we wanted to do, I can guarantee you, if we had a system within this system and we united and did what we needed to do, I can guarantee you they would die. Plain and simple, they would die. Now, am I saying I want them to die? No, I'm not. What I'm talking about is we have the power. But we don't understand we have the power, because it's always, we have to be inclusionists, but they're always exclusionists. So how do we change that?
I want to make a statement. When I made the statement, I never stated that I hated white folks at all.
Sorry, I wouldn't try to put that on.
I want to make that point of clarity.
Yeah, I apologize.
That was a point of clarity, and you also made a recollection of my religious faith, which I never made a statement about who I am or what I am. But what we're looking at is that racism, the only true means of racism, is white supremacy racism. I can discriminate to a degree or dislike somebody because I don't like them because something they did to me, but I don't have the systemic power to put an institution on somebody because I don't like them.
Mm-hmm.
When a system is already set in place that does it. So I wanted to bring that for a point of clarity in our
Mm-hmm.
discussion to look at that, and that and if we can go back as far as the 1455, the Papal Bull that Pope Julius the Fifth. No, not Julius the Fifth. It was the 1455 Nicholas the Fifth. I went to Catholic high school. Okay, I came out the hood in Houston, Texas, and went to a private Catholic school. And I told my mom and dad they turned me over to the enemies. But I went in there and I started reading every damn thing that they had. Okay, and the 1455 Papal Bull was gave King Alphonse of Portugal the authority to go into West Africa and take human cargo and bring it to the Western Hemisphere.
Mm.
The Roman Catholic Church was the one behind the transatlantic human cargo trade. I don't call our people slaves because they were not slaves. They were people who were brought here and forced into slavery. But I don't hate anybody. I
Mm-hmm.
love myself and I love my people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm here, because I want to be here to be to clarify and to bring back to our memories about what's going on right now. Because if y'all ever look inside of the Senate, not Senate, but the House of Representative chambers, where the Speaker of the House and the President and the Vice President sit every time the president makes the State of the Union address.
Uh-huh.
On the side of the wall, if you look at it directly, on the side of the wall, there are two columns that have a thing that's called a fash. Faces, a fash. And it's a Roman symbol. It came from the Roman civilization. And that's a symbol of fascism. So from the very beginning of this nation, it was founded on fascism. And we've been living under fascism all our lives. If you watch TV, everything you see after 7 o'clock is either police, a fire truck, or a courthouse on the regular stations, because they're continuing to put this in our mind to keep us. I worked here in Des Moines, Iowa, and I worked with a deferred expulsion program. And instead of the school to prison pipeline, I'm calling it the cradle to prison pipeline, because they're taking these little boys automatically and just setting them up so they can go directly into prison. And then you're talking about, we're trying to catch and put out a net to try to catch as many as we can, but there's so many that's falling through the gaps. And a lot of our religious leaders and political leaders, I don't need no damn leader, but I'm just saying, if people just go ahead and do something to help somebody, you might be able to save somebody's life, or guide them in a direction that it'll be positive for them. And then 20 or 30 years from now, when y'all old men and y'all hair is gray, they're gonna come to you and say, "Thank you, sir. I remember when you helped me. You gave me that advice. You helped me get and move forward in my life." And that's what we're here for.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a really big believer in no political party is here to save us. Point blank, period. I think you should vote. I definitely think you should vote. Make your voice known, especially in your local elections. But no political party is here to save you. We're gonna have to save ourselves. And even Charles, when you said we have to unify, I agree. The only thing is, and this is probably, I'm a young guy, so some of this is just.
How old are you, bro?
I'm 31.
Oh, good, young brother. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. So some of this is a young person thing, but I just kind of look at, how just different ways we unify, common experiences, the way we vote together. I'm like, Man, we unified. It's just we going against a system that is just so far set up against us. It's just gonna take superhuman strength. And what's the way that you eat an elephant? One chunk at a time. So, I don't know how we can change the whole system. I don't know how we can get equality in this country, but I do know how I can help one person, right? One person get out of poverty, right? I don't think any child in America, we're way too rich of a nation for any child to be in poverty here, right? For any, the stuff that goes on in the inner cities is just ridiculous. Nobody in a developed nation, probably not period, but nobody in a developed nation should be going through that. But I do know how to reach back and try to help one more person, right? One person who is unhoused, one person who is immigrant and facing oppression. So to me, that's the way out. The one person at a time, like Dr. Negus was saying.
This is from the chat that's on the screen, and Jonathan, David, I think this was alluding to a statement that you made in the beginning. She says, yes, I do believe his number one reason for running was to avoid prison and get revenge on his indictments or whatever have you, for the indictments. So do you want to chime in on that?
Well, certainly. Why not? And especially because that person there was my best friend who made that statement there. She's so we're best friends. That's my Angela Brenneman. Oh, absolutely. I agree that was the number one thing, was to save his ass. Because what has that man done that has not been illegal?
Right.
You've got a person who's come into office with 34 felonies. 34 of them. He came in the door like that, and that's not counting the ones that he's not been charged for. So right. So I see you doing the counting over there. That's a lot of them. But I will also add to that, though, kind of almost intertwining this conversation. You can only be a certain color and have 34 indictments and become the president. When you are a felon, as it were, you're not even allowed to vote, but can become a president. That's a very interesting statement. I mean, a very interesting thing there to be able to do. But yes, I definitely believe that is exactly why he ran. I mean, you hear him now. He has said explicitly, if the Democrats take back the House, he will be impeached. Those are his words. So, I mean, everything for him now is just about keeping himself out of a prison cell. Now, I'll also say this. I don't believe he'll ever see the inside of one. I don't think that man said explicitly, and that's why I said earlier, he's told us everything. I just think that people electively decided not to listen.
Well, he do lie, so I'm gonna give people a little bit of grace. They might have thought he was lying about it.
Well, but see, I think there's a difference in what he lies about.
Yeah, I'm joking. You're right.
So he lies about, this is going to sound real crazy, he lies about facts.
Yeah, I'm joking with you.
But he's not lying when he tells you what he's going to do. These are things that when he talks about stealing an election, just not using those words, he says he's going, did you hear him when he said it? Or did you electively decide? Because, his people say, oh, well, he was joking. But I think when we joke, we should laugh, and no one was laughing.
At all.
No one finds that funny. So he said before he ran the first time that he could, shoot somebody in Fifth Avenue and get away with it?
Yep. Shoot him right in the face, and nothing would happen.
And so he's showing you that he was telling the truth about that. Yeah. Because
he know how to tell the truth a little bit.
Say that again, Jerry.
I'm shocked he know how to tell the truth a little bit.
Well, the devil tell the truth sometimes, Jerry.
You're right.
The devil can tell the truth at times when it benefits him. Yeah. So I think that he's been very, very forthcoming about what he wanted to do, and he is doing it. But a lot of it is the kid. But he's not going to prison. That man is not going to anybody's jail cell.
I have another quote here, the comment here that's in the chat. Let me put it on the screen. This person, Coach Carrie Willis, it says, read Secrets of the Millionaire by T. Harv Eker and 177 Mental Toughness Secrets of World Class by Steve Seibold, collectively. They create a paradigm shift. Wishing you all the best. Dr. Negus, you want to talk about that?
I'm not familiar with the manuscript, but it would be hard for me to talk about the manuscript straight up. That's something I haven't read.
Right.
But I know listening to the conversation, we have. I'm thankful for this opportunity, and brother David, I'm gonna give you a fist bump on that first comment you gave. I'm putting my fist up to you, so you can give me a fist bump if you want to. Be all right, bro. You know, looking at this, man, we look at old Donald, and he's a creation of this society, and a person was made to be who he is. You look, NBC made him who he is because of when he did that damn show talking about you're fired. Everybody watched it. You know, back you younger folks back in the day, all the rappers wanted to be like Trump. Everybody wanted to be like Trump.
And all the rap songs.
Yeah. Everybody want to be like Trump. Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton was hanging out with Trump.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So all of them, the same damn group of people.
Yep. So let me say this. Let me put this out here to you guys, because something else that plays into all of this, you know, with how this situation is happening with ICE, what we have happening here with the economy, with folk being broke, you know, homeless folk and everything. I want to ask you guys this question about Black entrepreneurship. Now, you know, when we create businesses and we get out there and we get down there where we just get to the bare bone where, you know, we ain't getting no sleep. We got health issues, but we still pushing forward and we try to put out the best we can put out. We got good products. And when we got these good products and we market these products to our people, they refuse to buy from us, but they'll buy from other people. Why do you think that's so?
You know why? The white man's ice colder than the black man's ice. Malcolm X made it plain. He made it plain. We were, you know, I'm sending my kid to a private school, and they're going to get a better education than the ones over there in that public. Okay. Our minds are centered in whiteness. And we're more concerned about being black-faced white nationalists than being who we are.
Well, you know something, I want to go a little bit further when I ask this question, because, you know, the in-depthness of this is what's so crushing. And that is because we've got all the spending power, trillions of dollars in spending power. But when we have entrepreneurs or people that look like us that want to start businesses, they're doing good jobs. They're doing like everybody else when it comes to like trying to grow up, blow up, and do what they need to do. But when you go to market this product and you have your product and you explain it all the way down, just like a fraction, you break it all the way down to the lowest term. And you do that for your people, but you don't get the proper response. And they don't want to do business with you because they say, oh, your product ain't good.
No.
I mean, how does that make you feel?
So, Charles, I'm gonna have to come at it from a different angle. Me personally, I know I'm in the minority, but I do think Black people support each other. I definitely think we support each other significantly more than white people support each other, just off the strength of being white. I think they support each other as far as proximity. But I'll just put it like this: me as a Black advisor, I know plenty of Black people who met with me for the sole reason because I was Black. Mm-hmm. Right. I don't know any of my white fellow financial advisors. I don't know any white person who met with them solely because they were white. Right. I know people who supported me in my business just because I'm Black. Now they got a bunch of support from other white people, and right, they might not have wanted to work with someone who wasn't white, but just supporting you just because you're a part of your group. We're really congregated, right? I love eating at Black-owned restaurants. I know several people who do. When I see a Black-owned business, I support it. I know several people that do. We just can't get perfect attendance, right? And the thing is, it shouldn't take perfect attendance. It shouldn't be only on us to write years and years and years and years and years of oppression, right? Hundreds of centuries and centuries of oppression, right? I don't personally think we can just come out here and support each other's businesses enough to reverse what happened to us in this country, me personally. I also think from years of working with really, really wealthy people, man, most of this stuff is resources. It's not talent. It's definitely not talent, right? A lot of this stuff is, I'll just paint a picture. A lot of this stuff is, there's a bunch of successful business owners who I know, not non-Black business owners who I know. They're successful. They're pretty talented, but I know people who are more talented, but they had 2 years when they didn't make any money from their business. Parents bankrolled them. Parents let them stay with their house, right? When they needed some investors for their company on startup, parents' best friend gave them $100,000, $1 million. I don't know nobody with $1 million, especially not growing up, right? My parents, they'll take me in their house, but it's gonna be real uncomfortable with me and my 2 kids and my wife in that 3-bedroom house, right? It's gonna get real uncomfortable. So I think a lot of this stuff is resources, and I also see the nice wealthy parents to nice private schools that automatically get fed to colleges, that automatically get fed into these incubators and these networks and pipeline that we don't have. And so I think, me personally, I think we do support each other. It's just, I think we also kind of unfairly hold ourselves to an unfair standard where we were all taught you have to be twice as good, 10 times as good, 20 times as good.
At least 10.
And is that even enough? You know what I mean? So I think we need to give ourselves grace as a people personally. I don't know I know people who are 10 times as better and still not successful just because they don't have the same resources. So I don't know if that's enough. And me personally, I don't think we can just kumbaya our way to reversing racism.
No, not kumbaya.
But you know what? I would like I agree with you a bit on that, Jerry. I think, but I will also say this now. Please, no one get upset if we over certain age. I'm older than you, Jerry, but I think that I'm younger than the other 2 gentlemen. So I'm 46. I do believe that some of that is generational in terms of lack of support.
Yeah.
All of my grandparents are deceased, so I will say from their generation, they born in 1915 and in that way. So there were a certain generation of people who look like us because of the indoctrination that we have been under, we'll say, that always believed that white was right.
Mm-hmm.
So I can go back to like my mom, not her per se, but that generation. And you think about if a teacher called home and it was a white teacher in particular, that child was chastised because the teacher said it. And so there was nothing you could say that was going to change that situation.
Mm-hmm. You calling your teacher a liar?
Right. Exactly. But again, going back to that kind of almost white is right kind of thing. So as the generations have moved kind of closer to the more current, I do believe, are a bit more liberated. Are we completely? No, but I do believe we're a bit more liberated. And I do believe that we are a lot more connected to each other than earlier generations. So I do, to a degree, believe that we are a lot more supportive of one another because we look at each other very, very differently than some of the earlier generations did. There was a lack of trust, a complete and total lack of trust in earlier generations of each other. Whether or not we choose to admit that or not, there was a complete and total lack of trust. That has begun to subside as time has gone on. We are not now looking at each other as inferior. There was a generation of people who did look at each other as inferior. Look at the colorism thing. It's real. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was very much and that was something that was within our community. Where did it
Yeah.
come from? Obviously, it came from the way that we were separated based on complexion during slavery. But at the same time, it was still something that was very, very much inbred in our community. There was
Same
a
thing with.
hierarchy. Say that
I'm
again.
about to say same thing. Growing up, you get an African student getting called names from Black students, Black American students.
Exactly. So,
Mm-hmm.
kind of moving it back into the whole current in the business realm, I think that again, as time has gone on, we are looking at each other very, very differently. I don't think we look at each other as inferior as earlier
Mm-hmm.
generations looked at as early generations of Black folk looked at each other. I mean, I can remember sitting at the table with my grandparents and listening to some of the derogatory things that they said about each other. I mean, we have to call a thing, right? We can't act as though our people did not denigrate each other, regardless of where it came from.
Mm-hmm.
What we can tell you where it came from, but it happened. And so I
Yeah.
Yeah.
think when that is something that was a real thing that many of us heard, I can't say all of us, I can speak for myself because again, I got an old family and I heard what I heard at this table. So I can imagine my grandparents were not going to go to a Black owned business. I am
Mm.
positive they were not going to do that. Mind you, on my paternal side, my grandfather was a business owner.
Mm-hmm.
But by choice, was he going to go to another Black owned business, maybe to go and buy his skincare or, there was a time where he had to,
Mm-hmm.
but then when there were choices, was he going to
Mm-hmm.
necessarily, I don't think he was.
Can I get in?
Mm-hmm.
Because I can understand your viewpoint, but I know I grew up in the inner city of Houston, Texas, during segregation in a community that had a 35 block Black enterprise zone, and it was all Black businesses. And my father owned the furniture business, and I saw in that community how uh, the African philosophy of Ubuntu, meaning the oneness of community, work, and how even from the Black Chamber of Commerce for that particular North Side, uh, those businesses bartered between each other. My father bartered with other businesses in the community who had insurance, who had or the cleaners or whoever, and our money stayed together. Our money stayed in our community for quite a long time before, in comparison to the integration that Dr. King was pushing so hard for. Because even in his final days, he said, "I think I may have helped people into a burning building." Because folks thought segregation was wrong, but yet segregation produced W.E.B. Du Bois's and Dr. Carter G. Woodson's and Dr. Frederick Drew Gregory's and all these different uh, powerful Black people who come out of our experience when we work together.
Right.
But once integration came along, uh, we felt that our businesses were less than because we had to go and spend our money with the white folks and show that I bought that over there from there. So I got this bag that came from that, it says Macy's. Okay. I got the bag, and that's all you got because you just gave your money away for nothing on something you could have got back in your neighborhood if somebody had it going in your neighborhood. So that shows you, just like my brother brought forth, for the past 5 years, I worked as a business coach with the Washington Mandela Fellows at Drake University, and Black African young business people under the Obama administration created that program to let these black business people come in, but Trump just stopped it just 4 or 5 months ago. You know, and these young black entrepreneurs come here, and their main purpose is to do what they could to develop their business and create training programs and I help them with leadership management and cross cultural collaborations, because that is the way for us to make money. If we could get our money and access our money abroad to some of those foreign goods and services that we could transfer and bring it back here, we could get ourselves out of a hole as a people, really, and we could help our people back over there at the same time. And that's what I'm trying to do right now with my best efforts, because I have young men and women who have agricultural products, who have minerals. I mean, from coltan, diamond, cobalt, whatever Trump and them over there fighting the race to get. They got it already.
Yep.
And all we got to do is collectively work as a group to do something to help develop them and send resources back and forth over here and make it better for both of us on both sides of the ocean.
Let me ask you this, because all of those points that was just made, I love all of that because they all have a link. But I want y'all to think about this. Now, we think about micro and macroeconomics. We think that's small and global, right?
Mm-hmm.
When they talk about economics here in America, and when they for people that look like us, small, very small within this economy, but we spend globally.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I want you to think about that. If you got this much money, but you're spending this much money, how are you going to be fruitful? Help me understand that.
Don't make sense.
It don't.
It come down to the man. So I now have empathy for people. I think I always did, but as a financial advisor, I really have a lot of empathy for people who are, just say it plainly, bad with money. But the longer I do it, the more I understand it. Man, if you can't get your basic needs met, you can't think about saving, right? If you don't have hope, you can't think about saving. The number one thing for having good spending habits, right? For people to delay gratification, for people to put off pleasure now for thinking about their long term. Well, if you don't think it's going to work, if you think the system's out against you, if you think that you can save up all the money in the world and it still won't mean anything, you just gonna start doom spending, right? If it's not gonna work out anyway, I might as well have a good time now. So that's giving me a lot of empathy. So it kind of it makes sense now. The older I get and the more I see both sides of the coin, because I grew up, thankfully, man, I had a phenomenal parents, and I grew up in a really privileged environment. But I went to a high school where it was probably about 50% black, 40% white. And most of black students grew up in the hood. Most of white students grew up in the suburbs. And it was actually a really integrated school as far as friend groups and everything. But so I've seen that side of the coin, from, lower income all the way to, working with ultra wealthy. That's a buzzword now for some reason, but ultra wealthy people. And it's just giving me empathy for, I think the more I do it, the more I see that people act like people. Right. You have some people who are really talented, but I think if you put most people, just pluck some kid out of the inner city and you put him with my parents, my upbringing, everything that I didn't have any control over was 100% God or my parents or somebody else besides me, I think they get just as much success as me or more. And I think you can say that for a lot of people.
I can appreciate that very much. I think when we have these kinds of discussions, it is also very, very important to understand why a person does what they do, right? Yeah. And most of it is because if that's all you know, then that's what you're going to do. And so kind of to your point, Jerry, you saw a certain standard within your own family, which then created something within you. The same thing with my family. I have two educated parents. One was a business owner, one who was an educator. And I saw how they managed money. We had, the three of us had investments when we were young. We were in high school when my parents got us our first mutual funds. But would I have just known that intuitively had I seen? No, I wouldn't. And so I do think when we talk spending and how, when we look at even home ownership, well, if you did not come up in a home that your parents owned, you might not see the value in that. You might not understand the concept. You might just think it's just unnecessary because it's what you know. And so I think that a lot of the time when we look at some of these kinds of things, it is so important. And not just this, this is just the way I look and deal with people in general. I'm at the space in my life now where I'm like, I've got to understand the story before I can make really a full assessment of the situation, because there is always a reason why a person does what they do. So yeah, I appreciate the empathy there.
Let me tell you, we got Coach Willis has another comment here that he's put in the chat. Let me put it on the screen. He says, it's because what you focus on expands due to RAS. Focus on what you want, not what you don't want.
What's RAS?
I think when he's talking about RAS, I think he's talking about, wait a minute. Let me I know that's dealing with economics. Let me
Okay.
Rastafari.
It's I like that better than what I just Googled. It looks like it's reticular activating system. So that's neuroplasticity and your brain link. So
I have degrees in music. I don't understand not nary a piece of what you just said, neuroplasticity, and I don't know. You might have to break that down a little bit further for me.
Man, I did the best I could, man. That's all I got for you.
He said, "Get a thesaurus."
That's what it sounded like was saying.
Reticular activation system.
Hey man, I just said I put a couple buzzwords together.
While you're watching the show, I appreciate you watching. But I definitely would appreciate you contacting me, because I would definitely love to have you on one of these Final Word Fridays. But anyway, she just she wrote that down here. She says just what Jerry said. She said it's reticular activation system, and that she's a she.
Oh, sorry about that. I got a little tiny screen. I can't see.
Hello,
that.
Coach.
I see your name, first name Carrie. Sorry about that, Coach. Yeah, I do agree with what she's saying though. It's your brain is going to. I'm not a huge what do they call it? Law of attraction person, and that's a little bit too. It's a little bit too out there for me, but I'm a firm believer of what you focus your mind on, you attract. And I think our minds are extremely powerful. You can see it you can see it when you buy a car, and now that's the only car you see on the road. But that works like that in life. If you focus on one thing, if you're focused on family, you're gonna find opportunities to be a better dad, husband, son, whatever the case may be, right? If you're focused on negativity, you're going to find ways to get into negativity, right? At any given moment, there's things to be grateful about. There's things to be unhappy about, but it's really what we choose to lend our brain power and our RAS to.
Well, you know something? I think that as we think about that, because that's a very I like the point of what Coach was talking about, but I think when we get to the part of economics, because a lot of us the majority of us, if not all of us, were not actually born into the situations of actually learning more and more about finances and the economics. Now, I think once you get that opportunity and you have to retrain your brain to work on that system in which she's talking about, then I'm very sure that you think a whole lot more from the perspective of, am I being wasteful or am I being smart? Because in most case scenarios and the way society goes today, people are always about the wants. It's not about what they need, and it's not about what they don't want or what they do want. It's about, having that thing, what they call it, flexing, showing off or whatever have you.
Come on to the young side, Charles.
They doing all that. And so,
Well, hey, bro, just because a brother hair is white don't mean he ain't young.
Y'all come on, man. We
Hey,
welcome y'all with open arms.
I
Put me in
told
that.
a
I
young
didn't say
brother
nothing
the other
about
day.
no. That's you, Jerry, by yourself on that. Now I'm right with the three of y'all.
Come on, we welcome y'all.
Nobody is sitting over here on this temple.
because I just think that that's where, again, that's another focus that we need to have in our community, because it's very, very important. And when you think about, and just think about that term of what was it, reticular, right?
Yes.
Okay, reticular. And when you think about that and the definition of that, that already sounds like, being particular and actually breaking it down to what's right and what's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And so this goes back to when I was growing up, we were taught about critical thinking. We learned how to critically think. This society today, they've taken that away. They don't want you to critically think. What they want you to do is to be able to just adjust to technology, move and shake, spin, live large, and just get yourself in debt and be in trouble. That's what this society is about today. It's not about thinking about what's right, what's wrong, and how to get there. You see, when I say that to my younger nieces and nephews, they ain't got time for that. They listen, but they ain't got time for that, because time is moving like this. And so this is how they're moving. But I'm like, okay, while you moving like this, I'm still taking my time, being detailed, making rash decisions, where you continuously making irrational decisions, but it's okay with your peers because they're doing the same thing. That means that's constant downfall to me. That's the way I see it. I mean, that's just the way I see it. But I mean, younger folk don't see it that way, because it's like, hey, well, you look, I got it going on like that. Look, they flexing. They can go and they can do all that. They can care less about what's going to happen long term. It's all short term. So if you live in short term, I mean, economically, you can't possibly think that you could even leave generational wealth.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, this is like, like the purpose of this is wonderful, because all of these aspects and the comments have been totally, totally wonderful. This is what I think people need to be thinking about. This is how we need to put this on a billboard for people in our communities to be looking, because they need to be damn thinking. They ain't thinking. They're just being actionary.
Reaction.
And reaction. Yes, that's what they're doing. But you see, you have to think, because remember, this game that's being played, the goalposts have been moved 25 times before you even got to be 15 years old. Now, I've seen the goalposts move an enormous amount of time. Dr. Negus has seen it more than I have. So the goalposts keep moving. So as they keep moving, that means that you just are totally caught up in all that scoop. All that scoop. What they when they go out there and they go crabbing and shrimping, right?
Yonder way.
Hold up. That's it. That's what's happening in our community and with our youth. And then when they get that net on top of that ship, drop. And when you drop, what you got? Nothing. They done got you in that whole system. They got you in that bucket. And when they keep you in that bucket, that's what you know. That's what you know. You don't know what done happened that got you to this point. You know this. This is what we got to break.
But, you know, and I don't, part of me thinks this kind of relates, and then I'm not sure, but I'll just throw it out there anyway. So we're talking about a mindset, right? We're talking about a mentality. And as we know, that really is something that's ingrained in us based on experience, lived experience. What we only know what we know, what's a lot of the time what's around us. Some time ago, I participated in a fatherhood panel, and I was and part of leading up to this whole event, I was on with the head of the Black Psychological Association, and he threw out this term, post-traumatic slave disorder. And as that being the probably the overarching reason for a lot of our mindset. And so for me with that, and I'm thinking it relates if we're talking about our people in terms of economics and business and all of this other stuff. So while I heard that, I'm also one who is now solution oriented. So to my mind, we got a diagnosis. What is the cure? Because the other piece that I cannot also really entertain is using these things as excuses for why we don't have or why we don't do, right? Because in full transparency, I have major depressive disorder. So I could have chosen, knowing that, to just not treat it and continue to be irrational and all of the things that I was. But when I got that diagnosis, what was my next thing? Treatment. I wanted to be better so that I could do better, especially for my child. So when we're talking about our mentality and where we're stuck, a lot of it I hear is birthed, as we've said from the very beginning, out of our days, not ours per se, but our ancestral days in slavery. And then we've got this diagnosis of post-traumatic slave disorder. But then my whole position, and even bringing this up, is as we're talking about all of this, what is, and I think I heard Jerry say it earlier in something else, where do we go from here? Because we understand, we know where we know what the problem is. So then where do we go? Because again, I'm also of the mindset that I don't want to keep entertaining. Well, you know, we're this way because of X. That sounds like excuses to me. No. And I'm not, and that's also not a thing for me. So then really, what is the next move? How do we move ourselves out of that space and into true healing? Because we're talking about something that there needs to be some level of a healing from it. So
no doubt.
So what do we do? You know what I'm saying?
Let me just do this because that's a good question. I want to infuse your question with what Coach Carey just put in the chat. Coach Carey says, but should you be able to live wealthy and leave generational wealth? Now, I want you to think about that question before you say anything, because that's what we always talk about, leaving generational wealth and being wealthy, right? Now, we're also talking about the irrationality of economics in our community. Now, those two things, according to this question, but also as to how people are actually living, they kind of like connect a little bit to the point of you have to have this one before you get to that one. So if you don't have this, how can you be wealthy and live and leave generational wealth? You see, what I'm talking about is when I say this. Now I'm just kind of like just giving a synopsis here so the question can be answered. What I'm saying to you is this: is that if we're going to build our communities, if we're going to do the things that we are talking about and discussing as to being economically responsible and having dollars continue to circulate in our community maybe 30 times before it goes outside the community, that means patronizing businesses and growing things that's inside the community that keeps the community, community plentiful. When we listen at this question here, Dr. Carey is actually right, because you should be able to live wealthy and leave generational wealth, but you can't get there if you're not doing the things to save and do those things.
Correct.
The community ain't doing that. So we can't live like that.
Brother King, can I jump in on this here, man? Because you look at it, in 2025, the wealth for the average white family was 150,000. That the median wealth for the average white family was at least $150,000. The median wealth for a black family was about $15,000.
Yep.
Okay.
It's right. So
we're talking a dime to a dollar. Okay. So when we talk about, even if you get a little money, all you can get is nigger rich.
That's pretty much it.
All you want to get is nigger rich, unless you ain't hanging out with Elon. Come on, you ain't rolling with Elon and the rest of his cabinet that's billionaires.
Doctor, you gonna get niggas rich?
No, hey, niggas mean king rich. But I'm just saying, you hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All you're gonna do is only get so far.
Mm-hmm.
When we don't realize that we were the capital at one time.
Exactly.
We were the commodity.
Exactly, and still are.
And we are still the commodity.
But being exploited.
And then you have a members of the lumpen proletariat. I'm talking about those who in that caste system that's so low that's never gonna come up.
Never.
I don't care how much economic advising you're gonna try to do.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't gonna happen. So the thing is, we got to realize who we are and what we got. And if we don't understand who we are, we're in trouble.
Man, this is gonna sound crazy coming from a financial advisor, but there's a when I get to my point, but there is a comedian named Dante Nero. He was friends with Patrice O'Neal, rest in peace. But they had this advice show, off the wall, completely unhinged advice show. Some of the funniest but probably worst advice you ever want to hear. But they had this thing, if you getting in an argument with your girl, flip the chessboard over. Like if you in an argument, you can't win, just flip the chessboard up. Terrible advice now, but funny.
Yeah.
To me, there's a level of
what Coach Carrie Willis just put in there. She said that Forbes magazine says that black household median wealth could decline to 0 by 2053.
Yeah. But I say that to say
what?
Man, I say that to say, man, I'll ask y'all this. If your parents gave you $150,000, do you think you would have a net worth of $150,000?
But see, again, that depends upon your mindset. Because if I'm sorry when I say this, Jared, so don't take offense, but I mean, if I'm 31 like you, I mean, I'm flexing all day. I mean, I'm balling, I'm doing me. So I'm not really thinking like that, because it's like I can do it because I can afford it. Okay? Not thinking, again, as I said earlier, not thinking, what about the next 25, 30 years? I ain't thinking about that. I'm flexing.
I'm going to just say, me, anecdotally speak, this is pure anecdote. This is just financial advice. I've worked with a lot of people. It ain't much difference between these black folks' mindsets and these white people mindsets. It's just, if you get an inheritance, it's going to be kind of hard for your net worth to go down. That's what I'm saying, right? And me personally, a big mindset shift to me when I was always like, man, why are my friends in gangs? And it was like, man, he joined at 9 years old. Like, who making good choices at 9? right? And their mama and daddy not home. And I'm not saying that to make excuses for anything. I'm just saying I think a big part is we're still dealing with a lot of this propaganda, right? If we see that we're here and other races are up here, we're just going to naturally think, well, we must be dumber, right? If everything's fair like they're telling us, we must be dumber. That's the only thing that a 13-year-old is going to figure out. And that's not the case, right? What in actuality happened is you have hundreds and hundreds of years of oppression, oppression. And we only 70 years removed to where you could even get some wealth without the Klan coming knocking at your door, right? And if you had your grandma pass down your house to your dad and your dad passed down the house to you, that's easy to build some wealth. If you got $300,000 just to go do something with, you can trick off 150,000 of it and still be at the median. And we just don't have that. So I think we got to flip the chessboard over. And I don't think in our lifetime we ever going to close that gap. That's fine. But what can we do? And I think we can start with the inside in, because wealth is a trap too. I'm still doing research on this, but it appears from my preliminary research, the Black community doesn't have all the mental issues that the upper class have. Even when you account for things like we don't get diagnosed and mental health is stigmatized, it seems like we got a little bit more happiness. We got a little bit more emotional stability than the wealthy, right? One thing I got with working with the ultra wealthy is a lot of their kids have really severe, severe mental health disorder. That's without going through a lot of what we would call traumatic experience, right? I had friends who got friends shot, and it's just a lower level, right? So I think, and I'm still doing research on that, but I think that there is a trap that comes with wealth too. But how about happiness, right? I think we can start with happiness. How about esteem? I think we can start with self-esteem, right? I think we can pour some self-esteem into these young brothers and sisters, right? And I think the wealth may or may not come from that, but how can we just teach people to live with what they got, right? To live within their means. All right, you might not be a millionaire, but I know some people who are living phenomenal lives on $50,000, right? Teachers, and they're never going to be anything besides a teacher. That's great, and living way better lives than people making $1 million a year, right? I know people riding jets and depressed. You know what I mean? So let's just start with the outside in and flip the chessboard over. Let's stop trying to chase, what TV tells us are good things, because it's probably not even what it cracked up to be anyways.
Yeah. No, because that is a great starting point. I think that's a great starting point, because I think if people look at themselves differently, then I think only then will the thought process come to say, okay, well, this is what I want to do. I need to devise a plan on how to do it. So if I need to devise a plan on how to do it, that means that first thing, I need a mentor. I need somebody I can go talk to. Let me go talk to somebody and have them help me. But you see, we're at this point now to where, like, this human contact, like us being in the same room, you see, that's getting to be less and less and less. People like to do this right here, or be on the phone or whatever, rather than meet people in person. You have to get to meet people, because if your interactions or your social skills are off, you got a problem.
Yep.
Now, I'm going to tell you this, and I'm being totally honest about this. If I see somebody that's looking a little crazy and hazy in them eyeballs, and they looking like they're a little bit off somewhere, I'm not talking to them.
Self-preservation.
I am not talking to them, because I'm feeling like, hey, I might not be secure, because see, I'm always happy to meet people and talk with people. Look what I'm doing now. I love this. But if you're looking crazy in the face, no, we ain't gonna do that. You may come out a bag, you may flip out like them other folk that be running around in these places, and you may just start doing some stuff. I don't need that. So I need to stay away from that. And it's not being a stereotypical thing, but it's a safe thing for me, because look, I ain't 31. Like, that's past. I'm way past that.
About 35 years ago, I was 31.
Age is a good thing, man.
Look, I can't do that.
I could say that. 35 years ago, I was 31. Yeah, I remember back in the day. Yeah. You know,
I'm trying to get there one day.
at this wealth thing too, man, because I remember I'm a fan of Bob Marley and the Wailers, as you might expect.
Yes,
You know,
sir.
but I remember Bob Marley had started making a bunch of money coming out of the trench town down in the poor gully, and he got to making money and had a BMW, and the man from Rolling Stones magazine came to his house and said, Bob, how's it feel now to be rich? And you got all of this stuff and you got this house. And he said, does money make you rich?
See, it's a mindset.
Does money make you rich?
Mm-mm.
And then what came behind him was another singer that was in the same group, Peter Tosh. He said everybody want to go to heaven, but nobody want to die.
Nope.
You know, and everybody trying to reach the top, but how far is it from the bottom?
Mm-hmm.
You got to think about it. What are you fighting for? To spend your whole life working like tooth and nail, and then when you're my age, had not had an opportunity to live and love and meet and greet and have time with people.
Coach Carey says your money matches your mindset.
That's it. That's
Can-
it.
So I'm going to take a liberty. I'm so sorry. It'll be a shameless plug. It goes along again with what was said earlier, and it's the basic idea of happiness,
Mm-hmm.
and that our money is not the thing that is going to. You can't purchase happiness. That is an
Right.
internal, conscious decision.
Come on.
And so, the shameless plug is my journal, Getting to Happy, a journal of purpose and joy.
Pull it back up.
And now
Sorry.
this is not the resale. This is my little proof.
Okay.
But it's for sale on my site and on Amazon. But I've been in this space because this is a conversation I've had with many people in terms of just basic happiness. And I think that we limit with how important and how necessary that is, because we judge what our happiness should be based on what we see with others. You know, for a younger generation, social media is a huge, everybody is living some kind of life that's probably not their real life
Fake life.
on social media. And it's all tied to things. It's all tied to, what the latest trip I've been. And I'm not saying those things are not nice. I'm not saying you wouldn't like those things. I like to travel. I like to wear nice things, all of that stuff. But at the same time, when we're really talking about the root of it all, what is the thing that is going to make you happy? And are you willing to actually do that thing? To not be ashamed, to not be afraid, to just live authentically. And I think when you do that, then everything else can come. If it's to be money, then it's to be money. But at the most important thing is just finding that thing that is going to be your happiness. And if that happiness involves you living in a tent in the woods, but you're happy, that's the important thing. Because when we even talk about mental health, so much of that is tied to what? Unhappiness.
Mm-hmm.
So get to happy and get out of the stuff that is so surface, the things, the what we see, the glitz and the glamour. Donald Trump he is miserable. You cannot be that damn evil and then be happy.
I like doo-doo.
Impossible.
A lot of these guys, the popular rich people, I wouldn't trade lives with them.
No.
They're miserable. They don't have good relationships. They seem like egomaniacs. I wouldn't trade with them. And that's not to demonize money, but just let it be a tool and not be the landing place. It would be a shame. It takes a lot to become wealthy. Like regardless of how talented you are, how lucky you are, most people, it's going to take you at least 10 years of grinding to get to, some real significant wealth. So if you work in 10 years to try to get happy, you're going to get thinking that's going to make you happy. Imagine spending 10 years with something and realizing you feel the same as year one, right? If you want happiness, get that on year one. Go make $1 billion, right? Go make $1 trillion. But if the goal is happiness, right? The goal isn't to get the most amount of money, right? One of the best years of my life was 2019. I don't know how much I made that year, but I know it was significantly less than what I was made, something modern day. And because the relationship, man, my relationships were so rich. I was hosting people at my house once a month. I had me and my relationship with God, man, we was here, right? I was in my Bible, man. I was doing stuff in the community, doing some meaningful work, right? Those are the things that lead to happiness more than the money. And money is important. I got mouths to feed. I got kids, right? They can't eat my happiness, right? they need some chicken nuggets and some. They need some healthier than that, but some chicken nuggets and some food. But money's important, but don't let it be your source of happiness.
Feed them babies some food, man.
Gotta feed them some food. Tell them go eat some happy for breakfast.
David, Coach Carrie wrote this for you. She says that's awesome. You wrote and published a book.
Thank you, Coach Carrie. I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But it came out of my own journey of trying to get there myself.
Yeah.
I told my nephew years ago, I would pick him up from school every Friday. At that time, I was driving a Jaguar. And so to a 15-year-old, I'm getting in my uncle's Jaguar, and he has on these clothes, and we go get our hat because he had braids, I had locks. So we went and did this every Friday. And he went on really boasting about that. He thought it was really good. And I looked at him, I said, you won't get this today, but you'll get it later. The better you see me look on the outside represents how bad I feel on the inside. I'm trying to cover for something. You can go to church every Sunday, look at these people in these big old top hats and prom gowns and sequins and looking silly.
Oh, no, you didn't call it a prom gown.
Because
I ain't gonna lie, I like a little first lady hat every now and then.
I used to like it too when I was real churched up. But then I began to look a little bit beneath that stuff, up under that big old hat, because now they're bigger and bigger, and you can't even see their faces. They're covering something, right? So I could not. That was my journey for so many years, covering. Because the thing of it was, I didn't grow up in a family that was poor. So when we talk about money, I grew up with a family who had it. We traveled the world. I was not happy. All of my brothers, all of our college tuitions were paid. We don't have student loans. My parents paid for our student. We had those things. That was lovely, but I was not happy. And then some people look at you and say, well, what did you not have to be happy for? You should have been.
You want my college student loan?
I'll ask my parents if they could. They the ones took care of that for me. Look, I'm trying to make sure I can pay for my son's college. Jesus help me. That's probably $300,000 when he decides. It's just
yeah. I got you, bro.
I'll co-sign it, man.
So here in closing, I want to thank you guys for this wonderful this kickoff of Final Word Friday has been totally awesome. So in closing, I want each of you to, if you want to take some time and do some closing remarks, you can. I'm gonna start with you, Jerry.
Man, I really enjoyed it. This is my second time on the show, man. And I think you have a wonderful thing going on. I think it's doing a lot of great in the community. So please keep it up. And hey, man, please welcome me back. Please, I like it. I enjoy it. And man, David, Dr. Negus, man, it was great enjoying the hours we had together and sharing this stage with you guys. And then if anyone is trying to get in contact with me, my social, the the best way to get in contact with me is LinkedIn. So linkedin.com/IN/Jerry Jones CFP. Shoot me a message, say black and white, and I will have a consultation with you. I'll waive the planning fee, and we can spend an hour together and talk about some of this stuff, building wealth. What are the next best stages? And as y'all can see, I'm empathetic and non-judgmental, so you can't say anything that I haven't seen before.
David.
Again, I thank you, Charles, for the opportunity to be on the platform. This is wonderful. What is exciting to me is that it's 4 Black men here having this kind of intellectual discussion that has been very, very wide-ranging, and at points in different spaces, seeing things very, very different, most likely based on lived experience, right? So I appreciate this, and I would love to be a part of it again, because it's necessary, especially now. If we don't connect with each other right now, we are going to be lost. What I would like to leave as my parting word is probably what I've been saying in this last portion of the segment, and that is finding your happiness and being true to that, being very, very true, and understanding that being selfish is all right. And when I say that, I'm not saying not to play with, not to share your toys with your friends. I'm saying it in the sense that you might need to take some time for you, shutting everybody else out to get to you, to center yourself. Because see, you can show up better when you are better internally. So my charge to people is work on getting, especially in this season, because I don't care what you see happening. ICE is everywhere doing this craziness. The president is a buffoon and everything else under the sun. But that should not detract from you getting to happy, because you can still do that. That has nothing to do with anybody else. Do you to get happy. And so, and if you need to get in contact with me, I'm on all social media platforms, which I was never before, but you can find me on TikTok, David D. Marshall, Facebook, David D. Marshall, Instagram, actually Journey to Josiah, my nonprofit. And I have 2 websites, one of them journeytojosiah.org. And then the other one, Lord, I just created, I don't remember the darn website. That's all right. Just find me on social media. My name is David. You can Google my name, David D. Marshall, put it in. All these things will pop up. And I'd be happy to talk with you. I have the Purpose Room Life Coaching. So happiness and purpose are tied in. So we can walk that walk together. Thank you.
Dr. Negus.
Well, I want to thank you for this opportunity and having such a pristine group of gentlemen to talk to. And I'm Dr. Nagus Ruderson Imhotep. You can find me on LinkedIn as well. I operate Imhotep Memory Consultancy, LLC, and the main premise of my organization is to advance Afrocentric education, equity, and leadership development. That is my goal. And I want to leave with a poem that I had to remember when I pledged in this fraternity 45 years ago. It's called See It Through. Well, when you're up against the trouble, meet it squarely face to face, lift your chin. When you're up against the trouble, meet it squarely face to face. Set your shoulders, plant your feet, and take a brace. When it's vain to try to dodge it in spite of all that you can do, running from it will not save you, see it through. Black may be clouds about you and your future may seem grim, but don't let your nerves desert you. Keep yourself in fighting trim. You may fail, but fall still fighting. Don't give up whatever you do. Eyes front, head high to the finish, see it through. Even hope may seem but futile when with trouble you beset. But just remember you're facing just what other men have met. You may fail, but fall still fighting. Don't give up whatever you do. Eyes front, head high to the finish, see it through. That was by William Ernest Henley, 1853. And I had to remember that poem back in May of 1981 when I pledged Omega Psi Phi to the day I die.
Watch out now.
I ain't gonna let them flex on me, but I was part of the first fraternity, but
No, the first fraternity was called Prince All Freemasons, young man.
he's
All right.
Yeah.
I pledge
Remember
Alpha
who
Phi
you're
Alpha
talking to.
fraternity.
Remember, you're talking to your elder.
so
Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity. Hey, no,
I
it's
know
good
about
seeing
Alpha Phi
any
Alpha.
Greek brother.
Well, you know, don't make me go there.
so
How's college
Hey,
life?
you
How's college life?
we say all this talking, man. We see each other in corporate America, in the business world, man. We be best buddies. It don't even matter.
but I want to say this before closing is that I appreciate you guys because this is like the ultimate and I think the best beginning for Final Word Friday. And I think this sets a standard that is going forward for every Friday. This even includes next week, that we've got to do better each week. And I want to thank you guys because not only was this thought provocative, but this in itself, it actually, I'm more than sure that when we had people like Coach Carey that was chiming in and watched the show, is that there were things that and having the interjections and having these comments, it helps us to put more information out there for people to see. I'm hoping and I'm wishing and I'm going to put it in the atmosphere that I know that there will be people that's got to be reaching out to you guys because they're going to want to know what was it like sitting here on Final Word Friday and telling people the truth as to how things look from your perspective. That's what we can't. That's what we can't remember. We can't forget. So, what a powerful way to begin this journey. Tonight, we didn't just talk. We built. We connected the dots between our history, our finances, and our future. We heard from an entrepreneur who embodies possibility, a financial planner who equips us with strategy, and a historian who grounds us in truth. Together, they help us see the progress is that they help us to see that progress isn't accidental, it's intentional, it's collective, and it's ours to claim. To my guests, Mr. David Marshall, Jerry Jones, and Dr. Negus, um, thank you for lending your wisdom, your experience, and your voice to this very first Final Word Friday. You help set a standard for what this space will represent. And to everyone watching, carry tonight's insights with you. Let them challenge you, let them inspire you, let them push you to take one step, just one, toward the future you deserve. This is only the beginning. I'm your host, Charles King, and this has been the premiere of Final Word Friday. Until next time, stay focused, stay grounded, and stay committed to your growth. Thank you all. Please have a great evening, and we'll definitely have you guys back.
Power to the people.